There's a tree so poisonous that it can harm you just with its shadow. Do you know which one it is? Today, we bring you the answer. In this video, we'll discover the deadliest creatures in nature. From small animals to plants that will leave you stunned and can literally take your breath away. Let's watch it. It's fascinating. Blue-ringed octopus. If any animal has bright colors, it's a warning. Stay away, or you might be signing your death sentence. And the intense blue rings on this octopus are no exception. This small but deadly inhabitant of the Indo-Pacific, measuring just 8 inches and weighing 1.75 ounces, is one of the most venomous animals in the world. Its venom, called neurotoxin, is 1,200 times more potent than cyanide and can paralyze a human within minutes, leading to respiratory failure and cardiac arrest. The worst part? Its bite is painless, so you won't even know you've been attacked until the effects begin. Although generally shy, the blue-ringed octopus won't hesitate to attack if it feels threatened. Remember, what looks harmless can be deadly. Inland taipan. Also known as the fierce snake, it holds the title of the world's most venomous snake. However, despite its deadly reputation, it rarely attacks humans. It inhabits the remote, arid regions of Australia, where human contact is extremely rare. These snakes are very shy, and if you ever find yourself in their territory, they'll likely flee before attacking, only striking if they feel truly threatened. However, if bitten, the situation is grave. A single bite contains enough venom to kill over 100 people, as it combines neurotoxins, hemotoxins, and myotoxins, attacking the nervous system, blood coagulation, and muscles with terrifying speed. Without immediate antidote treatment, survival chances are minimal. Fortunately, these snakes aren't usually aggressive, so although they are the most venomous, they aren't the deadliest. Poison dart frog. See these brightly colored little frogs? They're so vibrant that we might mistake them for rubber toys or candy. But I warn you, that would be a fatal mistake. These small creatures are some of the most toxic animals on the planet, especially the golden variants. They inhabit the tropical rainforests of Central and South America, and their name comes from ancient indigenous tribes who used them as biological weapons, soaking their arrows and darts in their poison to paralyze and kill their prey with a single prick. But where does their poison come from? From the ants they eat. These frogs evolved to convert the formic acid from ants into powerful alkaloids, with batrachotoxin being the most lethal. This poison affects sodium channels in nerve cells, interrupting electrical signals in nerves and muscles, including those controlling breathing and heartbeat. Just 2 micrograms of batrachotoxin per kilogram is enough to kill, and a single frog has enough venom to kill 20 people. Interestingly, in captivity, if they're not fed ants, they lose their toxicity, as they rely on this acid to produce their poison. Lastly, those bright colors are a warning. Don't touch them. Their venom is lethal, and their dazzling appearance is their way of saying, stay away. Now you know what to do if you come across one of these. Don't be fooled by the colors. Aconite. If you've ever admired postcards of the Alps or European mountains, you've probably seen this plant without knowing it's one of the deadliest in Europe. It's called aconite, also known as monkshood or wolfsbane. Despite its beauty with flowers in bluish, purple, and yellow tones, aconite is deadly due to its high concentration of aconitine, an extremely toxic alkaloid. The poison is present in all parts of the plant, especially the roots and seeds, and can cause death even in small amounts. It acts quickly by interfering with sodium channels in cells, disrupting nerve impulse transmission and affecting the heart and central nervous system. This can lead to paralysis, heart arrhythmias, and breathing difficulties. Symptoms of poisoning appear in less than an hour and include tingling, nausea, paralysis, and heart problems. In Greek mythology, aconite was associated with the goddess Hecate, linked to magic and the underworld. It was believed to grow in fields where the saliva of Cerberus, the 3-headed dog guarding Hades, fell. The Greeks even used its poison to coat arrows and eliminate their enemies. Jimpy, if you ever find yourself in the rainforests of Australia or Southeast Asia and see a leaf like this, get away immediately. You're facing one of the most dangerous plants in the world, the jimpy. It belongs to the nettle family Urticaceae, but is much more dangerous than any nettle you've seen. This medium-sized shrub, which can grow up to 10 feet tall, has large heart-shaped leaves covered in fine hairs or trichomes that act like hypodermic needles when they come into contact with the skin. Its venom isn't lethal, but it causes one of the most intense pains known to man. Victims describe the pain as if acid were sprayed on them and then a sander was run over the wound. And the worst part is that the pain doesn't just last for hours. In some cases, it can persist for days, weeks, or even months, with swelling and severe rashes. The substance responsible for this torment is moroidin, which is extremely resistant to common treatments. Even if the plant hairs are removed, the pain can resurface with triggers like cold water or the slightest touch of the affected area. The pain is so unbearable that both people and animals would rather face death than continue enduring it. Although death from contact with the plant is rare, its reputation as the plant from hell is well-deserved. In fact, gimpy gimpy means devil or evil spirit in the native language. Manchineel tree. The name manchineel tree sounds like something straight out of a horror video game, doesn't it? Like the final boss you have to defeat with a magical sword. But no, it turns out this is a real tree, and believe me, its lethal power is something no video game could match. These trees, found in the tropical regions of Central America, the Caribbean, and northern South America, look harmless at first glance. They have green leaves and small, apple-like fruits. But don't be fooled. This tree is basically a covert agent of mass destruction. Every part of it, from the trunk to the leaves and even the roots, is poisonous. It's like a danger sign in tree form, except instead of a warning label, it attacks with toxins ninja style. This tree can grow up to 65 feet tall and produces a small, round green fruit that, surprise, is not edible. Its scientific name, hippomene, comes from Greek and means horse madness, because if a horse comes into contact with the tree's sap, it essentially loses its mind. Think of it as the tree's version of an animal detox, and it's not a friendly one. The real villain here is the manchineel's milky white sap. It contains a potent mix of toxins that can cause severe chemical burns on the skin. And don't think you're safe just standing under its shade, because even the rain that drips from its leaves can carry toxins. So, in short, if the tree doesn't kill you, the weather might give it a shot. And while the fruit may look like a tempting apple, it's anything but. If you dare to eat it, your mouth, throat, and esophagus will suffer severe burns, followed by vomiting, diarrhea, and a possible hospital visit, if you're lucky enough to survive. In extreme cases, you might end up on the farewell cruel world list. Now, you'd think the smartest move would be to torch this tree with a flamethrower, right? Well, don't even think about it. Burning manchineel wood is next-level madness. The smoke it releases is so toxic it can irritate your eyes to the point of blindness, and if you inhale it, your lungs will suffer big time. That's right. This tree is so deadly that it doesn't even need you to touch it to be dangerous. Honestly, this tree is more hazardous than a toxic relationship, and that's saying a lot. Stonefish. If you ever decide to take a stroll along Australia's beautiful beaches, do yourself and your feet a favor. Wear shoes. And if you're a flip-flop person, make sure they're sturdy, because you might run into a little friend that will make you think twice about walking barefoot. I'm talking about the dreaded stonefish, the most venomous fish on the planet. These bad boys live in coral reefs and shallow coastal waters in the Indo-Pacific with a special love for Australian beaches. Their secret weapon? They are masters of disguise. With their rough, rock-like skin and perfectly camouflaged colors, you wouldn't even notice them unless you're looking carefully. So, if you're wading through these waters, keep your eyes peeled. One wrong step, and you might get up close and personal with this ugly little guy. But if their camouflage fails, don't worry. The stonefish has another trick up its fin. In addition to being world-class hiders, they have 13 razor-sharp dorsal spines loaded with venom glands. If they feel threatened, or worse, if you accidentally step on one, these spines stab into your skin and inject venom so potent, you'll regret every step you took on that beach. This venom is a cocktail of toxins that can cause excruciating pain. According to those unfortunate enough to have been stung, it's one of the worst pains a human can experience. But pain isn't the only thing you'll deal with. The affected area swells up instantly and can turn all sorts of strange colors. If the venom gets really creative, it can destroy nearby tissue. leading to necrosis. But wait, there's more. It can also cause paralysis, and in extreme cases, respiratory and cardiac failure. And since these fish are experts at blending in and can survive out of water for hours, plenty of unlucky beachgoers have stepped on them without realizing it. So next time you're strolling along an Australian beach, maybe keep your eyes on the ground. Or better yet, just wear shoes. It seems like Australia's beaches are getting more dangerous by the day, don't you think? Hemlock. If you're into Greek philosophy, you probably already know how deadly this plant can be. I'm talking about poison hemlock, the very plant that ended Socrates' life. This plant is one of the most toxic in the world and has been feared throughout history for its high lethality. The ironic twist? Despite its deadly nature, it belongs to the same family as carrots and parsley. Yep, that family. So in a cruel joke of nature, hemlock is the super toxic cousin of everyday edible plants. Hemlock can grow between 5 and 10 feet tall and is easily recognizable by its hollow green stems with purple or reddish spots. Its thin green leaves look a lot like parsley or celery. Unfortunately, this resemblance has led to some fatal mix-ups. The scariest part? Every single part of the plant, leaves, stems, flowers, and roots, is poisonous. Its deadly power comes from alkaloids, especially choline, which disrupts the nervous system by blocking communication between nerves and muscles. The result? Progressive muscle paralysis, which can quickly become life-threatening. Ingesting hemlock, even in small amounts, can be fatal if not treated immediately. Symptoms typically appear within 30 minutes to 3 hours, depending on the dose. Hemlock has a chilling history, particularly in ancient Greece, where it was used as a method of execution. The most famous case, as mentioned earlier, was that of Socrates. In 399 BC, he was sentenced to death for his teachings. The philosopher drank a hemlock-laced concoction, and as described by his disciple Plato, he remained conscious while his body slowly became paralyzed, until he finally died of asphyxiation. Deathstalker scorpion. Meet the Deathstalker scorpion. And no, this isn't a movie exaggeration. This small but deadly creature is one of the most dangerous scorpions in the world. Also known as the Palestinian yellow scorpion, Lyrus quinquestriatus, a scientific name as terrifying as the creature itself. It inhabits desert regions of the Middle East and North Africa, including Israel, Egypt, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, and parts of Central Asia. Though not very large, its venom packs a serious punch. This neurotoxic venom contains a mix of deadly toxins, primarily neurotoxins that severely impact the nervous system. One of them, scorpamine, interferes with sodium channels in nerve cells, disrupting electrical signals. This can cause such extreme nervous system overactivity that in severe cases, it leads to death. Symptoms appear within minutes and include intense pain, muscle spasms, breathing difficulties, tachycardia, convulsions, and even paralysis. Unlike some venoms that shut down nerve impulses, this one overstimulates them. Luckily, there's an antivenom to neutralize its effects, along with painkillers and medical support. But before modern medicine, getting stung by one of these scorpions was almost always fatal, hence its terrifying nickname. Ironically, despite its danger, Deathstalker venom is being studied for potential treatments for neurological diseases and new drugs for neural disorders. If you're in a region where these scorpions lurk, stay alert. Shake out your shoes and clothes before wearing them, avoid walking barefoot at night, and be extra cautious in rocky or desert areas where these creatures like to hide. Castor bean. The seeds of this plant are among the most dangerous in existence and have been the poison of choice for all kinds of assassins for centuries. In fact, there are Cold War stories about extracts from these seeds being used to eliminate spies. And if you've seen Breaking Bad, you probably already have an idea why they're so feared. No spoilers, but you know what I mean. We're talking about castor beans, a plant that has somehow managed to be both medicinally useful and dangerously toxic. Native to Africa and the Mediterranean region, castor plants have been cultivated worldwide for their seeds, which are used to produce castor oil, a product with more applications in medicine, cosmetics, and industry than you have New Year's resolutions. But here's the dark side. The The seeds contain one of the deadliest toxins in the plant kingdom, ricin. This protein is 6,000 times more lethal than cyanide. And how does it do its deadly work? By blocking protein synthesis in cells, which leads to cell death and ultimately organ failure. Basically, it shuts down your body's cells like flipping off a light switch. The worst part? There's no specific antidote for ricin. Treatment focuses on managing symptoms and providing supportive care. And to make things even scarier, ricin is so hard to detect that it has been used as a poison precisely because it's nearly impossible to trace in autopsies. So, now you know, next time you see a castor bean, you might want to run, or at least don't take it home to toss in a salad. Jimson weed. If we're talking about the most terrifying poison, Jimson weed, also known as devil's weed, toloach, or burundanga, takes the prize. This herbaceous plant can grow up to 6.5 feet tall, with large, jagged, dark green leaves and trumpet-shaped flowers that can be white, purple, yellow, or orange. Its spiny fruit capsules filled with black seeds give it an exotic appearance that could easily trick anyone into thinking it's just a decorative plant. But beware, because every part of this plant is toxic, from its seeds and leaves to its flowers. The poison in Jimson weed contains several extremely toxic tropane alkaloids, including atropine, hyoscyamine, and scopolamine. These compounds affect the central and peripheral nervous systems, interfering with neurotransmitters that regulate critical bodily functions like heart rate, breathing, and sensory responses. The effects are as frightening as they are varied. Atropine and hyoscyamine block muscarinic receptors, causing symptoms such as dilated pupils, dry mouth, rapid heartbeat, hallucinations, and confusion. But the worst comes with scopolamine. This toxin induces amnesia, sedation, hallucinations, and, most disturbingly, loss of willpower. Under its effects, the victim becomes highly suggestible and vulnerable, obeying without question. That's why scopolamine has sadly been used in crimes, where perpetrators manipulate victims who later remember nothing of what happened. Who would have thought that such a beautiful flower would hide such a sinister secret? Cone snail. This is the infamous cone snail, named for its characteristic conical shell, but also known as the cigarette snail. Why? Well, if it stings you, they say you'll only have enough time to smoke a cigarette before heading off to a better life. Yes, that's how deadly this snail is. It lives in tropical and subtropical oceans, especially in the Indo-Pacific and the Caribbean. Within its genus Conus, there are over 500 species, and while many are strikingly colorful, their venom is incredibly dangerous. It's made up of a complex mixture of conotoxins, extremely potent neuroactive peptides, and each species produces a unique set of toxins that can cause devastating effects on the nervous system, both in its prey and in anyone unlucky enough to be stung. Despite its lethal potential, these snails aren't aggressive toward humans and only sting if they feel threatened or are accidentally handled. However, a sting can cause a range of concerning symptoms, such as sharp, stabbing pain that can last for hours, partial or total paralysis in the affected area, difficulty breathing, changes in blood pressure, and in the worst cases, a series of systemic symptoms that can lead to death. Why is this snail so dangerous? Well, unlike most snails, which are herbivores, this one is an active hunter that preys on fish and marine invertebrates. To hunt, it has developed a venomous harpoon that it uses to paralyze its prey and consume it at its leisure. Who would have thought? Did you know this snail could be so dangerous? Let us know in the comments. Box jellyfish. It's surprising that a creature so biologically simple with no brain or heart could be so lethal, but that's the case with these transparent monsters. We're talking about the infamous box jellyfish, one of the most poisonous animals on the planet. They mainly inhabit the warm waters of the Indo-Pacific, especially near the coasts of Australia, which means you could encounter them if you swim in those waters. Their name comes from the cubic shape of their bell, and they are famous for the potency of their venom, which can cause a quick and painful death. They are nearly completely translucent, making them hard to spot and even more dangerous. Their bell is square, with between 15 and 60 tentacles hanging from each corner, some reaching lengths of up to 10 feet. and under no circumstances should you let them touch you. Their venom contains a cocktail of up to 170 toxic proteins that attack the heart, nervous system, and skin cells, causing widespread paralysis, heart failure, and death within minutes if not treated in time. Each tentacle is covered with millions of cnidocytes, cells capable of firing microscopic harpoons that inject venom upon contact. In severe cases, a sting can be fatal in less than 5 minutes due to cardiovascular or respiratory collapse, which is especially dangerous in the water, as it also increases the risk of drowning. Mild stings cause unbearable pain that can last for hours, while severe ones can be deadly. Fortunately, there are antidotes and emergency treatments, such as vinegar, which can neutralize the cnidocytes on the skin. In a chilling fact, these creatures have caused more deaths in Australia than sharks, making them even more dangerous than the most feared marine predators. And you might wonder, why does such a small jellyfish need such potent venom? Well, it's because they hunt fish that are relatively large compared to their size, and due to their fragility, they must paralyze their prey instantly to avoid being harmed by their own catch. So for such a fragile animal, a brutal venom is a survival necessity. Bullet ant. This is the most feared and painful sting in the insect world, that of the infamous bullet ant. Its sting ranks at the very top of pain intensity, reaching the peak of the Schmidt scale, an index that classifies the intensity of insect stings on a logarithmic scale from 1 to 4. This means that each level is exponentially more painful than the previous one, and only a few stings in the world, like the bullet ants, reach level 4. The name of these ants has nothing to do with their appearance, but with the intensity of their sting, which is said to hurt as much as being shot. Worse still, this extreme pain can last up to 24 hours straight. Some describe it as being chained to an active volcano. But despite the torture it causes, it is rarely fatal to humans, except in cases of severe allergic reactions. And here's the incredible part. In some Amazonian tribes, there's a rite of passage where young men must wear a glove filled with these ants and endure their stings on both hands to prove their bravery and come of age. Ouch. Oleander. It may look like an ideal garden flower. And yes, oleander is beautiful. But behind that beauty lies one of the most toxic plants in existence. In fact, it has been the cause of mass poisonings throughout history. This is no ordinary plant. This is a fairly common ornamental shrub, though it shouldn't be as close to us as we sometimes think. Native to the Mediterranean and Southwest Asia, it is now grown in almost every warm climate. It can grow between 6.5 and 20 feet tall, has long green leaves, and flowers in a variety of colors, from white to red. It's also incredibly resilient, as it adapts to dry terrain and poor soil. All parts of the plant, from the leaves and flowers to the stems, sap, and even the seeds, are highly toxic. It contains cardiac glycosides like oleandrin and nereine, which directly affect the heart. In small doses, they can cause serious arrhythmias, and in larger doses, even cardiac arrest. You don't need to eat much. Just a couple of leaves can be enough to poison a child or a pet. Oleander poisoning strikes quickly, with unpleasant symptoms such as abdominal pain, nausea, vomiting, severe diarrhea, and serious heart problems. So yes, it's pretty, but with a deadly personality. Now it's your turn. Did you know about any of these toxic creatures? Let us know in the comments. Here are 2 options that you'll surely love.